The 14900K build is complete, other than we're going to do some thermo testing here and see if we can get this 14900K under control as far as the heat goes. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to the screen here and we're going to do some testing, get a baseline with the stock thermal paste that comes with a cooler, and then we're going to do some changes after that and see if we can improve it without undervolting it. But I may have to undervolt it just to get these temps under control, but we're going to see what we can do. So let's get on over to the screen and see what we can do. Okay, so what we're going to be using here is Cinebench R23, and this is going to be a rigorous test for the CPU, way more than any of your games or even video rendering. This is going to hit the CPU pretty hard. So what we want to do is get a baseline to see what our current temps are. Now, I haven't messed around too much with the actual fan curve. I'm using the Lian Li L-Connect 3 software to control all the fans, and I have a little custom curve, but it's nothing crazy, but it's not a static fan, you know, so we're not at a static RPM. It's going to fluctuate, and that's fine because I want to run it the current way that I have it set up. Now, I know that's kind of not fair if we're talking about other people's PCs, but this is the way I'm going to run mine. So I want to see if I can get mine under control. So we're going to get a baseline here, and we can see our P cores and our E cores, and we're running, let's see, I know the max, but that's kind of when I started this out. So let's look at what they're running right now, which is this left-hand side, right around 28 to 30, 31 degrees Celsius, and then that's including the E cores also. And we can see our CPU V-core voltage, and these are the voltages. So this is what we're going to have to look at also when it comes to it. Now down here, we can see what the cores are actually running at as far as the megahertz, and we can see they're fluctuating around pretty good. So what we're going to do is, the primary thing for this one is we're going to focus right on the temps, and then we can obviously look over here to what the max was. I'm not really concerned about the minimum, just what it's at currently and the max. And then we'll see if we have to stop this shorthand or we can continue with the test. So let's see, we're in here and we're just gonna do a multi-core single run. So let's give this a start. And we're gonna pop up the temps. Right away we jumped right up to 70. We have 71, 78. Now our package is at 86. We have one that hit 85. So right now, P-core 0 or 1 is looking like our best core. It's running the coolest. So I thought this was going to do a single run, but yeah, it's on a 10-minute loop. So we'll just let this go for right now, and I just want to kind of capture what it's going to do, and I will come back and let's just see if this actually runs. Now we are also doing what's called a push-pull configuration, so I have fans on the front side and the back side of the actual AIO, or the radiator. Now this this case is a little overkill with the fans also. I have 12 fans in here. 6 of them for the radiator. I have 3 more in the back as an intake. These are all, the push-pull configuration is going out. And on the inside, I have 2 more 140 millimeter fans drawing air in, and I have a rear exhaust fan exhausting. All right, we hit 90C on core 5. Now we've been going for about 4 or 5 minutes now. We have not thermal throttled, and we still have a lot of headroom left. So these thermal throttle around 105 degrees Celsius or around 100 to 105 degrees Celsius. But we still have 10-degree headroom right now, as of right now. Okay, so there is our score right there. We have a 39,245. And I really don't know how that compares to all the others, but it's comparing it to the older Threadripper, it looks like. So that's, you know, I'm impressed with the cooling capability of not doing anything. That's impressive to me. So I would have thought for sure. Now, there's a couple of different reasons this could be. One of the highest and most likely reason why it's not thermal throttling or even reaching 100C is because I'm doing the push-pull configuration. The other reason is because it could have been the choice of radiator, maybe just the compound or the way everything's seating properly. Not necessarily the thermal compound, but just the combination of the radiator and the pump. Maybe it just works, right? And I don't know. So now that we have established our baseline, we're going to go ahead and replace the mechanical part that holds down the actual CPU. And I have this right here that's meant for 13th and 14th gen. I'm imagining it could be for 12th gen, but anyway, this is meant for 13th and 14th gen by Thermal Grizzly. So we're going to replace that whole mechanism with the lever, and it's going to go over and it's going to make the CPU sit flatter instead of having a like concave or a hump. It's going to hopefully and protect it for over time from doing that. So we're going to go ahead and replace that and check our temps after that. So in this kit, they give you sort of some instructions. They do have a QR code on here that you can actually get some more information. And they do show you, let me just open this up here so I can actually show you. Right here, this is your steps. Everything else is a different language. But when you get the new one installed, it basically says tighten the screws clockwise, or crosswise, I should say, not clockwise. Tighten the screws crosswise using the supplied angle spanner, making sure that the screws are only hand tightened. Here's the 12th gen. Tighten the screws to 0.03 to 0.06 Newton meters. So that's completely different. Not everybody has a torque wrench, especially that the cheapest one I could kind of find that looked any good was about $80 some. Anyway, in the bag, we get our spanner wrench, which is just a Torx. And there are some extra screws in here. I'm not quite sure what those extra screws are for because they also give you an Allen key for those screws, but we're not going to be using those. We're going to be reusing the ones that are on the actual board. And then also in the package, we get our thermal plate, or our Grizzly plate here that goes over the CPU. This one looks a little bit different than the other one. So there's the 12th generation, and here is the 13th and 14th. So you can see on the 12th, you have these little lines that are indicators on tightening. You can see on the 13th and 14th gen, almost dropped that, you have this cutout, which is different. And then on the back, you can see a couple of different areas, right? So you have, on the 13th, you have like these round parts right here. On the 12th, you don't. And there's a little, you see this little angle piece right in there? It kind of goes at like a 45-degree angle. It's not in this one. There is a piece, but it goes at either a 90 or a slightly more than 90 degree. So those are the differences. And also, these are cut out. See right here? So just a little bit of differences. Okay, in order to do this, we have to remove this. All right, let's take this off. Look at how much it's missing. Everything else, even it's missing down here. Wow. So either this cooler did not have enough on it, because it's clearly a big enough cooler to sit across the whole thing. So it didn't have enough on it, it looks like. I just got a Q-tip with some alcohol on it. I know you can't really see too much of what I'm doing, but we're just gonna kind of go over it and clean up any residual thermopaste that's on it. You do not want to mix thermopaste, by the way. If it's of the same exact thermopaste and you run out of one tube, you can go to the next tube, but you do not want to mix different thermopastes. Okay, so this next part is where you need to take your time. And what we're going to end up doing is taking this entire bracket off that holds the CPU down. Now, they recommend that you do keep the CPU in, or if you're doing this for the first time without putting the CPU in, put the CPU in first and then take this off, because there is 1,700 pins. I'm pointing with it. There's 1,700 pins under this CPU on this particular socket set. But we're going to take out all of these screws. There's one right there, and one right there, and one right there. So there's 4 all around the corners. And that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to loosen this socket up so there's no tension on it. And it's nice and loose. We'll take this side off first. And see how they're just hand tight? That's the way we're going to put on the other ones. So I'm just going to loosen these. They're just hand tight. That is it. I know you can't really see what I'm doing, but there is a plate on the back side of this too. And I got to make sure that I can still get the screws in, hopefully, without the plate falling out. Let's see, I should be able to take this one out now. I should be able to just lift up on this. And we're going to set it on just like that. We're going to start putting the screws in here. Now again, these are not magnetized, so I'm kind of going to have to place them in by hand in hopes that it will catch. Not sure if that's catching. Yep, it caught. I'll do the opposite corner. So we're just going to go in a cross pattern here. We don't want them too tight. I'm just going to go a little bit at a time. Now I did read with the 12th gen installation, if you go too tight, you could possibly have a no boot situation. So, which means it like lost a memory channel or something, or it had an issue. So I feel like that was actually pretty good. It's not moving. They're kind of hand tight. I don't want to go too crazy. I like that the way that that feels. That's what we're going to go with there. I got another thing that we're going to try here. These are called cryo sheets by Thermal Grizzly, which means we do not have to use thermopaste. And I'm going to go this direction first. If we get the same results or better, we're just going to leave these on. If we get worse results, then I may go ahead and just put the thermopaste back on and see if it improves. Otherwise, then we might have a problem, you know, with the way this is sitting or something, but I doubt it. So in the package, it kind of comes like this, and we get, I think we get a few sheets. I don't know, do we only get one? Ha! Looks like you only get one. This stuff's expensive for only one. Yeah. So you get one sheet, and that's it. We cut this to size. This is conductive, so you got to be careful. You don't want this going off the edges and touching anything or leaving any of this behind. But essentially what we have to do is cut it to the size of that. You know what I could do is we can measure this right here and basically just go to the width and height of this actual thing, and it'll be just about perfect. So if we go with this, the width looks like we'd be good for about 30 millimeters. And by, looks like just shy of 40 millimeters. Okay, so I got our piece cut here. And what's nice about this is there's no mess, and this is supposed to be reusable. So that's where it's gonna sit, is just like that. I mean, there's nothing else to do, no spreading. And we're gonna put this pump right back on. And hopefully it won't, yeah, it was like this. I was trying to put it on the wrong way. So as long as we go straight over top, we shouldn't have an issue, I hope. I do want to keep my hand on this until I get at least 2 on the opposite corner. All right, now I can let it up. And now you can kind of just install this the way you would normally install a cooler. We don't want to forget to reconnect our USB cable. All right, so we're back up and running, and we got Cinebench back up, and we're gonna do pretty much the same test. So let's just get started here on a multi-core test. And we want to see what are we peaking at? So far our highest is 83. All right, so we've jumped up to 80, it says package core 86. I don't see an 86 in there. I only see 85. I see 85. Also, I just want to note the ambient temperature within here is about anywhere between 69 and 71 Fahrenheit. Now, I also want to note that I have not touched anything in the BIOS. So no settings, we have not done any tweaks or anything like that. If I don't even want to do any tweaks, to be honest. If I don't have to touch anything, I don't want to overclock this, I don't want to undervolt it. If we can get by not doing any of those and I can just get started with editing on this machine and not worry about the temps, I'm going to be super, super happy. And just by the looks of it, it looks pretty promising. Well, it just wrapped up, and look at those numbers. The package temp says 87. However, we did have one core 5, that hit 88 degrees Celsius, that is. Obviously, that's our worst core, but overall, look at that. That's 3 degrees cooler with that setup. So it seems like we have much better coverage on that frame, or that plate frame, whatever they're calling, the Thermal Grizzly frame for the CPU. It says 3 degrees overall for the package cooler. If we're just counting that one, that otherwise it would be 4 degrees cooler if you just count the package. So with that said, we also did not beat, and we didn't even meet the same score, which is kind of odd in a way, but I guess it's, margin of error. It's not a real difference to speak of. I just thought if we were a little cooler, we'd get a little bit better temps, or if we got better temps, we would get a better score. But, I'm perfectly fine with that. And that's going to be, quite honestly, that's going to be what I'm going to use. And I've got no reason to do anything different. This has a new name. So my previous 10th gen was called the Maker, and this guy I have decided to call the Maker Reborn. Let me know if you like that name down in the comments. So once again, I am very happy with the results from this. Getting 3 degrees or even 4 degrees on the package cooler than the previous test on just a pre-applied one. We were covering more ground when we put the plate across and the other one. I don't have any thermo testing images to actually prove that, but I think we can clearly see that that made a difference. I don't think the cryo sheet made the difference. I think that frame made the difference. So whether you use the cryo sheet or the actual thermal paste is up to you. If you want to spend the extra money and have no mess and reusable, you can go with that option. And all of the stuff that I used in today's videos will be down in the description below, so you can go ahead and check that out if you so choose. And also feel free to also, leave a comment and give me a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care.